rearranging up here while Mark and Peter are helping me out here. James Tate was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1943. His father was an American pilot killed in the Second World War in 1944 when Tate was just 5 months old, and which precipitated his first collection of poems, The Lost Pilot, published in 1967, selected by Dudley Fitch for the Yale series of younger poets, while Tate was still a student at the University of Iowa Writers' Workshop. Tate has published prolifically ever since: The Oblivion Ha Ha in 1970, Absences 1972, Viper Jazz 1976, Distance from Loved Ones 1990, Selected Poems in 1991, which won the Pulitzer Prize and the William Carlos Williams Award, and Worshipful Company of Fletchers in 1994, which won the National Book Award. More recently, he has published Memoir of the Hawk in 2001, Return to the City of White Donkeys 2004, and The Ghost Soldiers 2008. Jim has also published various works of prose, including a micro-tale collection, Dreams of a Robot Dancing Bee, delightful, wonderful little stories by Wave Books in 2001, a collection of critical prose, The Root as Briefed, University of Michigan Press, 1999, and a collaborative novel with the poet Bill Knott, something called Lucky Darrow, Release Press, 1977. Most recently, in 2012, Echo Press published the collection The Eternal Ones of the Dream, Selected Poems 1990 to 2010. Tate's honors include a National Institute of Arts and Letters Award for Poetry, the Wallace Stevens Award, and a 1995 Tanning Prize, as well as fellowships from the Guggenheim Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts. In 2001, he was elected a Chancellor of the Academy of American Poets. He, like Dara, teaches in the MFA program at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. Please welcome James Tate.
I hope I know these poems anyway, but well, this first one is called A Largely Questioning Article Offering Few Answers. When Roberta came home from the hospital, she had tears in her eyes. I grabbed her and kissed her. "What happened?" I said. "He died," she said. "Who died?" I said. "The doctor. When he entered Mother's room, he was so startled he had a heart attack," she said. "I don't understand. What startled him?" I said, "Mother. She had grown 9 feet tall, and her face was all contorted. She's really quite frightening," she said. "Isn't there anything they can do for her?" I said. "All the medicines they have given her are tearing her apart. They are anxious for her to die, but she seems to just keep getting stronger. They are at an utter loss of what to do next," she said. "Perhaps we should take her out of there," I said. "But she wouldn't really fit in this house, or any house I can think of," she said. "Perhaps we should take her out into the wild and let her go," I said. Roberta went silent and started fidgeting about the kitchen. She put away dishes and mopped the counter. I said, "Roberta," and she said, "I'm thinking." She put out fresh mouse poison beneath the sink, something I'd never seen her do. We drove to the hospital and checked her mother out. They were only too glad to see her go. We stuffed her mother into the back seat, which was quite an ordeal. She had to lie down, and then we stuffed her legs practically up to her chin. Her mother was screaming and kicking at us. We drove out of town to a wilderness area where I had hiked years ago. We drove in on a bumpy little road until we could hear nothing but the running of a creek. I stopped the car. Roberta and I looked at each other. Her mother was screaming all the time. We got out and opened the back door. Her mother kicked me so hard I tumbled backward and fell. Then she got out of the car by herself and roared. Rocks tumbled and trees fell. I crawled to my feet, cowering. Roberta shouted, "Mother, I love you." "Humph," her mother replied. "There is never enough love." "We'll visit you," Roberta said. "I'll bet you will," her mother said, marching off into the darkening hills. "Do you think she'll be all right?" Roberta said. "She's at the very top of the food chain." "It gets lonely up there," I said. This is called The Baby. I said, "I'm afraid to go into the woods at night. Please don't make me go into the woods. But somebody has stolen our baby and taken it into the woods. You must go," she said. "We don't have a baby, Cynthia. How many times do I have to tell you?" I said. "We don't?" "I felt certain we had a baby," she said. "We will have one soon. I feel certain of that. Then it makes no sense for you to go into the woods at night without a baby to search for. What would you do?" she said. "I'm going to stay right here by the fire where it's cozy and safe," I said. "I'm going to put the baby to bed," she said. "Someday there will be a baby," I said. "Until then, I'll put him to bed," she said. "Have it your way," I said. She went out of the room humming a little ditty. I put a log on the fire and lay down on the couch. Cynthia came running into the room screaming, "The baby is gone. Someone has stolen our baby. I never liked that baby. I'm glad it's gone. And I'm not going into the woods. Don't even think of asking me," I said. "The fine father you turned out to be. My precious baby eaten by wolves." This is called Toy Soldiers. Scattered about my house are many toy soldiers, but also a few real ones. Sometimes they get me confused. I'll be having a long conversation with one about the nature of the universe and bowling, only to realize he was a toy. I'd get so mad, I'd throw him across the room and break his head off. Then I'd glue his head back on and be really nice to him. Other times I'd move one from the window ledge to the top of the bookcase, and he'd say, "What did you do that for?" "I like the window ledge." And I'd say, "It doesn't matter what you like. You're mine. I can do with you as I please. I'm not yours. I'm here to protect you, that's all. Now place me back on the window ledge, or I will leave you to defend for yourself," he said. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were a toy. If I'd known you were a real soldier, I would never have touched you," I said. "In a house such as yours, filled as it is with many toy soldiers, it is understandable that such a mistake might occur every so often. Please note that my weapon is real, and I can use it whenever I want. I do not like being set upon a bookcase in the dark," he said. "I'm terribly sorry, and I beg your forgiveness. I do appreciate your protection. I swear I will never again move you, unless of course you ask me to. You are new to me, and these others I've had for a very long time. I'm always moving them about," I said. "I understand, sir," he said. "It's just that they're all I have," I said. "You are really a very nice man," he said. "Oh, I know, I said. I picked him up and placed him on the windowsill. "That's much better. I can see the flowers in your garden," he said. "They are toy flowers," I said. This is called The Battlefield. The two ant colonies had declared war on each other and were going at it like crazy, the blacks against the reds. Though the blacks were a little larger than the red, the killing seemed to be about equal, and both sides were capturing members of the other to spend the rest of their lives as slaves. It was really a brutal battle. It seemed to have been going on all day, perhaps longer. I watched for quite a while, then I had to quit. I walked over to my flower garden to see how it was doing. The irises were in full bloom. I cut some to take into the house. I went inside and put them in a vase. Then I heard the phone ring. I answered it. It was Ted McCarthy. "How are you doing, Ted?" I said. "I hear you got a real battle going on in your yard," he said. "How'd you know that?" I said. "An aunt told me about it," he said. "Wait a minute. Ants don't talk," I said. "Yes, they do. You have to listen very carefully. I taught myself their language," he said. "This is more than I can believe," I said. "You don't have to. I just wanted to know how the battle was going," he said. "It looked like it was a draw the last I looked," I said. "My informant said the Reds had lots of reserves," he said. "I don't know about that. He said the Reds would crush them in the end," he said. "Well, it certainly was a vicious fight, the last I saw," I said. "Do you want to bet on the outcome?" he said. "No, that's not the kind of thing I would bet on," I said. "Just $10, he said. "No, I'm not going to bet on it," I said. He hung up on me. It wasn't fair. He had a spy. This is called The American Dream. Alan Ross came to me one day and said he wanted to escape the rat race. I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's not easy to escape, you know. You have to have money." He said, "I know, I don't have any." "Well, you have a little problem, don't you?" I said. "I'll think of something," he said. That was the last time I saw Alan. A month went by. I thought about Alan all the time. I couldn't imagine where he'd gone. I said to Lillian, "How could he get by without any money?" She said, "People can live by their dream, people can live by their charm. They do it all the time." "Alan isn't charming," I said. "He could be if he needed to be," she said. After a couple of more months, I forgot about him. I worked hard at my job and got a raise. Lillian and I took a vacation into the mountains. I fished and she read her books. It was so relaxing, I almost forgot I worked. Then it was over and I went back to work. Something went wrong one day and I caused us to lose a fortune. My boss said, "Get out. I don't want to ever see you again." I said, "I'll make it up. I'm certain." He said, "Get out. You're fired. I didn't want to go home. I didn't know where to go. I sat on the steps of the bank with my head in my hands. A man came along and said, "I can help you." I know a place for people like you. I said, I don't think so. I'm a ruined man. There is no place for someone like me. Yes, there is. You must follow me, he said. And so I got up and followed him. We got on a bus and I took it to the end of the line. Where are we going? I asked him. It's just a short walk, he said. We walked several miles. I was dead tired. There was Alan, all skin and bones. I said, what are you doing here? He said, I don't know. I'm just a slave. They said it was for the American dream, he said. Well, what kind of dream is that? I said. It's like something you wish you'd never known, he said. Very low.
That's a sinking mic on his shoulder. That's a sinking mic.
I think so, yeah.
Same problem.
Okay. This is called The Pearls. I was reading the evening paper when my wife walked in. She says, honey, have you seen my pearl necklace? Not since the last time you wore it, I said. Oh no, that's not the line. Not since the last time you wore them to the party, I said. What party was that, she said. The Frederick's party. 2 weeks ago, I said. Oh yes, we had fun. We had fun. Where could my necklace be? It's not in my jewelry box, she said. Is it under the bed, I said. No, I've looked there, she said. Well, I don't know. It didn't fall off at the party. I remember wearing it home. Oh my, she said. It will turn up, I said. I suppose you're right, she said. I went back to reading the paper, and Darlene forgot about her pearls and went about doing something else. A while later, I said, Darlene, can you remember the name of the Conroy's boy? I think it was Tim. Why do you ask, she said. There's a piece in the paper about him. He fell off a bridge, I said. That's terrible. Did he die, she said. Nobody broke his neck. He's in Memorial Hospital, I said. Should we call them or just send them a card, she said. Maybe we should go to the hospital. What do you think? We didn't really know him. I think a card would be sufficient, she said. Okay, if you think so. Hey Frank, here's your old cufflink in the corner of the closet, she said. No kidding, I'd forgotten all about it, I said. Now you have a pair, she said. Thanks, sweetheart. I owe you one for that. I read the paper and heard nothing from Darlene for a while. Finally, she came out of the bedroom and said, "Whose panties are these?" "I don't know, I've never seen them before," I said. "Well, they aren't mine," she said. "Where'd you find them?" I said. "In the pocket of your sports jacket," she said. "Somebody stuck them in there, trying to get me in trouble," I said. "I don't believe you," she said. "Somebody took your pearls and left me their panties." "It's as simple as that," I said. "A mouse?" she said. "Yes, a mouse in pearls with no panties." This is called The Guards. The soldier marched up and down our street every morning for nearly an hour. One morning I went out and asked him why he was doing it. "To protect you from the enemy," he said. "Who's the enemy?" I said. "This I have not been informed about," he said. "Well, I hope you will get him," I said. "Yes, sir," he said. I went back in the house and made myself a cup of coffee. My wife came downstairs and stared out the window. "Shouldn't we invite him in?" she said. "I don't think so. He has important work to do," I said. "Yes, of course," she said. One morning we were leaving our house for work, and we found the soldier dead in our rose garden. We panicked. We didn't know what to do. "Call the police," I said. "Yes, of course," she said. The next day there was a new soldier in front of our house. We made friends with him, brought him sandwiches for lunch. Then one day we returned from work. He lay dead in our front yard. "What are we going to do?" my wife said. "Well, we're going to call the police and then we'll request that they not send us any more soldiers," I said. Several weeks went by without guards. Even though they got killed, we missed them. One night we were watching television when a bullet shot through our living room, shattering our living room window, shattering it. We both screamed and dove for the rug. A moment later, there was a knock on the door. I called to the door and answered it. And an officer stood there and said, "Just making sure you were all right." "Oh yes, officer," I said. "Things have never been better," wiping the glass from my pants. And this will be the last one. This is called Almost a Saint. I said to my wife, "Why don't you come here for a moment?" She came and I showed her the upside down label on the can of soup. "What do you think this means?" I said. "It must be some kind of poison," she said. "I'm going to open it," I said. "It might explode," she said. "I don't think so," I said. So I opened it. There was a dead mouse inside the can. My wife jumped back, nearly fainted. "How the hell did this get in the can?" I said. "Somebody had to put it there," she said. "What a sick joke," I said. "That person deserves to be shot," she said. "Should we report it to someone?" I said. "Nobody would care," she said. "What about the government?" I said. "What are they going to do?" "They could fine them $1 million, I said. "And what about us? We're the ones who had to suffer the shock," she said. "We'll get nothing," I said. I was still holding the can with the mouse in it. I didn't know what to do with it. "And that $1 million will buy a toilet seat for the Army," she said. I didn't want to throw it away. And I couldn't just put it on a shelf. It doesn't seem right to just forget about it and pretend it never happened, I said. "What do you want to do? Call our friends and form a parade down Main Street?" she said. "No, I want to pray," I said. "You what?" she said. I said, "I want to pray for the soul of the mouse," I said. "Get out of here," she said. "I'm serious. He never hurt anybody. And look how he died. He was practically a saint. It makes me want to cry," I said. "Here, give me the can," she said. "I'll flush him down the toilet."